Dr. Dollar's back with me today on the Captain's Log. We are going to train our brain. Let's eat a healthy lifestyle that's going to affect all of our brain waves and make it better, yes?
Absolutely.
Did I get that? Did I even get that right, or did I even say
I know,
it right?
I'm not
I
sure
gotta
what
get
you
my own
said,
brain right.
I mean, and we'll talk about that. What can you do to improve, Captain Brian, dementia, cognitive dysfunction, Alzheimer's disease? Everybody knows somebody in their family that has that issue. And
Yes.
Our goal is what can we do to delay that? What can we do to prevent that? The same as we talked the other day about the diabetes. What can we do about prevention of Alzheimer? We know that there's no pill in the world. There's no
Right.
Aricept. When everybody's talking about Aricept really doesn't work. As a matter of fact, in my opinion, and the research that I read about Aricept,
But what about ginkgo globin, right? Ginkgo?
ginkgo biloba.
Yeah, ginkgo
biloba.
See?
So again, let's put a disclaimer in the front. There is not a single supplement by itself that will improve your cognition, your ability to have
Right.
better memory and everything else. And today we'll talk about how simply, without spending much money, doing it all at Whole Foods and at Publix and at Fresh Market or wherever you go shopping at the local stores. What can you eat? What kind of exercise can you do? What kind of how much sleep do you need? What kind of a social support? What kind of games and exercises and other things for your brain to improve that you are not going to end up one of these people that are going to have Alzheimer or dementia.
Right.
Again, Captain Brian, Alzheimer by the year 2050 is going to be an epidemic in the Western world.
Mm-hmm.
A significant amount of people have Alzheimer, dementia, even early cognitive dysfunction, that you start forgetting names of people, you start forgetting where you put your keys, you start forgetting, some certain words. That you're saying, well, what is that? Well, how do you say that? And you forget that, and all this stuff has to do.
It starts with dementia.
It starts with cognition. It starts with simple memory of simple words that are you start forgetting, and later on it develops to dementia, and you can develop even Alzheimer. We learned, when I was in medical school, we said, your brain stopped developing when you were 18, and after that your brain started deteriorating, and by the time you're 85 your brain is like shriveled and there's nothing there. And we learned that that's wrong. That's absolutely not true. Your brain does not stop growing. Your brain, as a matter of fact, when you exercise,
it's a muscle, correct?
No, your brain, as a matter of fact, if you take your entire brain, 99% of your brain is made out of fat.
Okay.
So fat. So we are going to talk today in this podcast how fat is important, and when we are going to talk about cholesterol and good fat and omega-3 and all this stuff, how important they are for our diet.
Right.
And again, we're going to go back to sugar, how refined sugar specifically, is really bad for you. So again, going back to exercise and going back to the fact that your brain is growing, there is a part in your brain, there are two parts like this. It's called hippocampus. Hippocampus from the Greek word hypo, meaning horse, and campus meaning, so hippocampus. So it looks like a seahorse in your brain. You have two parts there, right here. This is the temporal lobe. Behind the temporal lobe.
Is that the part that makes you horny too?
No, that's not the part that makes you horny,
what
but
part
that's
is
good. That's a different podcast, Captain Brian. I mean, put it a suspense for the audience.
Okay.
But that's a different part.
We'll get back to the horny brain.
The hippocampus makes you remember when you were horny. So it has to do a lot with memory. So the hippocampus, we know that if you exercise, and they did studies on that, several studies on that, when people exercise, improve blood flow to the hippocampus does grow in size. So
and this is from traditional exercising?
So very good question. What kind of exercise? You need to break a sweat. You need your heart rate to go up. So you cannot just go and lift weights. I lift weight, but it's not enough. You need to do high intensity. If you do a lifting weight, your heart rate has to be high.
What's my heart rate have to get to?
Good question. So you take your 180 minus your age, and you're about 25. How old are you now? 22.
Exactly.
So 180 minus your age, that's your heart rate that you have to keep for at least 30 minutes.
Really?
During the exercise. Yes, minimum of 30 minutes. You have to keep that heart rate. So 120, 130, 140, in that range, for you to break a good sweat, to start to improve
and
blood
keep
flow.
it there for 30 minutes.
And keep it there for 30 minutes. And people do that. I've done it for an hour.
Yeah.
I kept my heart rate at that level for 1 hour.
Okay.
I kept it at 150, as a matter of fact, for 1 hour. because I'm younger than you are.
That's right.
Right, Captain Brian? That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
So again, we talked about exercises, and again, a lot of people. This is the key, Captain Brian. That this is a preventable disease, like diabetes. Type 2 diabetes is a preventable disease.
It's 100% preventable.
When we say 100%, you know, it's like playing poker. You got some cards, you got some genes. So some people get the genes for Alzheimer. There's a certain gene or certain allele in your chromosome that has to do with Alzheimer. But having that gene is not it's not a death sentence. It doesn't mean you develop Alzheimer. You can alter those genes. You can improve things. You can, your body is like a very expensive European car. And what you put in it, if you put, 87 octane versus 97 octane, it will run differently. So you cannot, there are two ways. One, to take 97 octane. Number two is not to do bad things to that body, so not to destroy it. So not only to do the right thing, also to avoid the bad things. And that's a segue here.
So physical activity.
Physical activity.
The food we eat. Give me a couple foods. I'm going to ask you one question real quick.
Absolutely.
Give me some food that I need to eat.
Blueberries.
Blueberries are great, right?
Blueberries.
They're good for everything.
They are good for everything. And again, people ask me, how do you know what's good for you? When you go to the supermarket, whatever supermarket you pick, open your eyes and say what you're attracted to, what colors you're attracted to. The more colorful the fruits are, the more colorful the vegetables are, the better off you are. So it's the same as when you go to the supermarket and you buy fish and you look, wow, this salmon looks good, or this tuna looks good, because you look at the color and you look at the shape and you look at everything. Same with fruit. You smell it and you say, wow, this tomato smell good, the color is good, I'm going to buy that. Tomato has lycopene, it's very good for you. Blueberries, there's a lot of antioxidants, it's very good for you. Give you another example, anything with omega-3. So fish is very good for you. What kind of fish? Salmon,
right?
Nothing better than salmon. I mean, great, line caught salmon is fantastic for you.
Let me ask you a question. So what about reading and keeping your mind sharp? Does that have any effect on it?
Absolutely.
It does.
So doing brain exercises are very, very important. So what I recommend for my patients, I recommend to pick up something new. So we all can read. I mean, reading doesn't cut it enough.
Right.
So reading keep you sharp in the reading, but doing something new. For example, if Captain Brian says, you know what, my cognition is not as good, start playing the piano, because you don't know how to play the piano. Now you're going to pick up something new.
You have to learn.
You have to learn. So reading, you already know how to read, so it's much, much easier. Something new. Or for example, drawing, or any new sport. For example, sport. I mean, if you don't know how to play soccer, go play some soccer, or do anything.
What's better,
like that.
the physical activity or the brain growth, reading?
Great question. So there's no one thing that is better than the other. I believe in you have to do the package deal. You have to do everything. So you cannot be a mediocre and say, well, I want to do the minimum. I just want to do a little bit.
So you can't eat crappy and then work out and think that this is gonna.
It will never work.
No,
it will never. You have to do all of the above. And you
because I'm prone to it, I believe, because my grandmother had it for 13 years.
Sure.
So it was terrible in my family because we actually took care of her for all those years. My parents basically dedicated their whole 13 years of their life during that time and took care of her every day.
Impressive.
So I know the negative effects, and to prevent it, that's important.
Right. So again, let's rehash here. So exercise is extremely important. Keeping your heart rate high. 3 times a week is the minimum you should do. 4 times a week is even better. I do an hour, you can do half an hour, and that's going to be good enough. The next thing you do is diet. What a diet? So we talked about berries, we talked about fish with omega-3, high omega-3 fish, and we didn't talk about, but we are going to mention walnuts and all those nuts. So a variety of nuts, specifically walnuts. And number 4 is coffee. We talked about it this podcast many times. Coffee is very, very good for you. It's an antioxidant. Study after study show when you look at kids and when you look at adults that drink coffee, if I give you a cup of coffee, I make you take a test, and I don't give you the cup of coffee, you're going to do better when you drink that cup of coffee.
Really? Because you're sharper.
You're sharper. You're sharper. So it's coffee. Don't let any doctor tell you that coffee is bad for you. That's an old school medicine. You have to find yourself a new doctor that is progressive, that is up to par, that understands that, you know what?
Is it coffee or is it caffeine?
No, it's not just the caffeine. There's other things in coffee. Caffeine is one of them, but in tea you have theanine, you have thiamine, you have other things in tea as well that is very good for you. And so it's an antioxidant overall. But again, you drink coffee, drink good coffee. Don't go and buy. If you buy a bucket that costs $1.50 at Publix, that's not good coffee.
Right.
It has to
not
be good.
chock full.
No, right. And
you can't have the chock full of coffee.
You cannot have that, and you cannot and decaf doesn't work.
Okay.
So decaf, there's chemicals in decaf. You're better off drinking water any day than decaf.
Okay.
So again, coffee is extremely important. Then vegetables. When you go to the supermarket, green leafy vegetables, fantastic for you. Fruits, different type of fruits, fantastic for you. Don't let anybody tell you that there's too much sugar in fruit. You know, again, this is old school. I'm not saying you should eat 10 bananas, but having berries, having blueberries, raspberries,
is one banana
blackberries,
okay a day?
half banana is plenty for you. You
Half?
really don't. Half a banana.
Not a whole banana.
No, a whole banana for you.
Damn, you cut me
A
down.
small
Doc.
banana, the small banana, the mini bananas.
Yeah.
They're more expensive, but
They're good
yeah,
for you.
half a banana
All right.
is good for you.
Now I take cholesterol medicine.
Yeah.
And I heard that's really bad because that does what?
Right. So I don't like, you know I'm the doctor that is against medicine. You know, I'm the outsider. So I don't like.
But it's
cholesterol.
inherited. My cholesterol as a kid
was
400.
I get it. So I get it. Some people need it, but overall, cholesterol is not a bad thing. Cholesterol is a firefighter that comes to the rescue. So cholesterol, when we do surgery on people that had car accident or had a heart attack, and we look at the heart and we say, where there's a plaque, there's cholesterol there, there's the position of things there. You know, cholesterol came to the rescue. So it's somebody said before that cholesterol is like there's a fire and you're blaming the firefighter.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You don't blame the firefighter. The cholesterol is the firefighter. So again, and cholesterol is essential. Cholesterol is the backbone of testosterone. Cholesterol is the backbone of estrogen. Cholesterol is the backbone of vitamin D. Is extremely, extremely important. And the problem is, and we saw that, in this anti-cholesterol medication, that if you look at the label, it will say it will impair your cognition. If you read the label carefully, it will say, and why is that? Because it also blocks the cholesterol entering into your brain. And we need that. We talked about that majority of the brain is fat.
But I take a CoQ10. Does that help?
Is
that a myth or what?
It is. There's no study.
And then the fish oil.
Fish oil is important. So omega-3 fish oil are important. But again, the best source of fish oil is salmon.
Yeah.
I mean, you really don't need to take pills. And, a lot of people take vitamin E as an anti-inflammatory medication. I don't think you should take vitamin E. You can take all the anti-inflammatory from your fuel, from the food you are getting. So taking supplements instead of getting, if you had, and I know you, Brian, you eat very healthy. You eat very clean. You are not a guy that eats processed food. You try. You do your best. And from time to time, you have a cheat day, but that's okay. Majority of the time, you really take very, very good care of yourself. And again, I know you don't eat leftovers, and everybody knows that. I mean, it was like a slogan for Captain Brian. He doesn't eat their leftovers. The idea about leftovers, it has to be more processed food with leftover for it to stay, good for the next day.
Right.
So by definition, you shouldn't be eating leftovers. And that's fantastic that you don't eat leftovers. So again, we talked about exercise, we talked about food, we talked about, next we're going to talk a little bit about sleep. So what happens when you sleep? Just think about your brain is your iPhone. When your iPhone is acting up, what do they tell you when you go to the Apple Store? They tell you, shut it off completely, reset it. 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Reset it, and it's all of a sudden it's working again.
Yeah.
Your brain needs a little bit more than 3 minutes as that needs a rest. That there is something called beta amyloid. Beta amyloid are deposition in the brain of people with Alzheimer. And we need a mechanism to clear that. And sleep is the time that we are, cleaning the house.
Yeah.
So that's very important. So again, sleep is important. How much sleep somebody should have? 7 hours is probably ideal. Do I get 7 hours every night? Absolutely not. Unfortunately, I don't. I wake up very early. My brain is set up differently.
Yeah.
but I ideally 7 to 8 hours.
What happens when you wake up automatically?
I do wake up.
Does that mean you've had enough sleep for your brain?
You know,
Or no?
it depends. It depends on your stress level. If you wake up automatically because, well, I need to go, I need to do stuff, and your brain does not have time to, you know also about how much your brain has to do, the time that you sleep help you with memory. So it solidifies things in your brain. You know, when I was in medical school, I used to take a quick nap, a 20-minute nap in the library to remember things, because all of a sudden, you know, all the stuff that I read solidified in my brain. And we know that people that, you know, they read a book just before they go to bed, at that time they remember all this stuff the next day.
Yep. Isn't that also a technique they use when they either torture people, they don't let them sleep, right?
That's right. I mean, you always say, I mean, different. I like that. I like where it's going. I like where it's going.
Right. So if they're trying to get some information out of you, the police interrogation, they just wear you down 24 hours.
Right. They keep you on. They put bad music.
Yeah.
Bad music.
They get you going.
They get you going.
So for the Alzheimer's right now, how do they actually diagnose it?
Very good question. So we do a test. So we have different type of forms that we ask the patient. We ask them to do a test. We show them some pictures of different people, and we say, you know, this guy's name is Brian Spina, and this guy is Mayer Dollar, and this guy is this, and this, and this. We'll show them 10 cards, and we'll let them look at them, and then we show them a picture of Brian Spina, and we say, who is this guy? And if they say Mayer Dollar, we have a problem here. Or if they say, I don't remember, we have a problem.
What if they ADD like me and they can't remember shit in the first place?
But a lot of people have difficulty with that.
Yeah.
But you have to remember some of the names, because you cannot tell me you didn't remember 10 of the pictures. None of them you remember, because we have, when we look at somebody, we'll say, okay, Brian Spina has a mole, and Brian Spina does not have a mole, for those who are listening
maybe
to the
on
podcast.
my butt.
Right,
on my
right.
butt,
He doesn't
maybe.
have a mole. So we look at that mole and we say, Spina has a mole, we have some mnemonic, we have connection. We put it together. We say Spina is the guy with those sunglasses.
Right.
And we look at those sunglasses and say, that's Brian Spina.
Okay.
So we have way to recognize. When you look at, I don't know, at Ringo Starr, for example. You look at Ringo Starr, you say, I know this guy. This guy is Ringo Starr. How do you know it's Elton John? I know he has this earring, and he has these clothes, and he has these sunglasses. This is Elton John. That's how we remember. We have. That's why a lot of people today have problem with memory, because we rely on Google. When we go, let's say Brian is going to ask me a question, I Google it. I think that it's in my brain. It's not in my brain.
Hiram says he's 54 and he's forgetting a lot right now. What can he do?
Yeah, so I would start with diet. So that's very important, what we talked about. You know, start eating healthy, go to the supermarket, buy plenty of vegetable, plenty of fruit, you know, red meat only once a week. If you have red meat, healthy red meat, organic food, all the stuff Brian and I talk about in this show. Then have some walnuts, drink a cup of coffee or 2 a day.
Just walnuts or almonds, cashews, anything?
Walnuts are the best.
Because they're the most oil, right?
Correct, they're more oily, but peanuts are the worst in that
peanuts
category.
Are terrible for you, aren't they?
Correct.
Is peanut good for anything?
I don't know. It's better. So, you know, I always look at the alternative. If you're having peanuts versus, I don't know, Cheetos,
right.
So peanuts beat Cheetos.
Yeah.
But it's not, overall, it's not great.
It's the worst legume.
Correct. It's the worst legume.
Yeah.
But it's not, overall, it's all, in life, it's about, you know, choices. So
he lost 85 pounds recently, Hiram.
Congratulations.
Very
That's
nice work.
fantastic.
Great job. Great job.
Beautiful.
You should post, tell us how you did it. That's interesting. Good job. But yeah, we want to get him on the right track now. Get his brain healthy.
Right. So brain healthy, again, brain healthy is key, because everything, if you lose, that's the most important part of your body, is that brain. If you lose that, everything else is irrelevant. So we have to keep that brain healthy. We have to fuel it. Again, think about it. It's an expensive.
What about water?
European
Drinking
car.
a lot of water, does that help?
Water helps, but does not help overall. Hydration is extremely important. Hydration is important for all the toxins, because after all, our society, everything is full of toxins. Mm-hmm. So you do dilute the toxins by drinking a lot of water. But then again, we talked about bottled water. We talked about xenoestrogen. You remember we had a podcast about that. It's a great podcast about xenoestrogen. So bottled water, I have a problem with bottled water. You know, I have you know, these are the things that you have to pay attention for, the little things that they make a big difference.
And then in 10 to 20 years, they'll let us know that was bad for us.
Right. I don't know if they even will let us know.
No?
I don't know. It's going to be much more than that because it's all politicized and
Yeah.
all corrupt and.
All right, guys. Well, that was how to power up your brain. We want you guys to be healthy. We want you guys to tune in every day, of course. But on Tuesdays, ask the doctor. Dr. Dollar makes you holler, and he has all the answers to your questions. DM us. Just send us a message, guys. You can find him, if you'd like, on Instagram at...
So on Facebook, Dollar MD. I'm sorry, on Instagram, Dollar MD.
Yep.
On Facebook, Mayor Dollar. Please be my friend or DM me without being my friend or DM Captain Brian. Come to my office, send me a text message,
Yep.
an email, whatever it takes. Dollar@teamdollar.com. We are always available. Please send us different topics that you want to talk about,
That's
that
right.
you have interest in. We
We
would
want
love
to make
do
sure
that.
you guys are getting the information you want, not just the topics that we want to talk about. So we appreciate you tuning in. This is the Captain's Log. We're out, and I'll be back again tomorrow. Don't miss us.